I always sound good.
All right, if you sound good, you want to count us in?
Yes. 3, 2, 1, go.
Sup, motherfuckers? Welcome to another episode of Necro Electric.
Boom.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm your host, Sean, mother effing D. Skellington. This is the mother of my child.
Hello.
Kylie.
You didn't say baby mama.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm not that dumb, dude. And then we got the wizard of the mixer over here, Jordan Chetelat.
Hello.
And today we have two very special guests from the band After the Fact. We got Kris and John.
Hello.
What's our theme today?
Our theme today is rockin' and rollin'.
Of course it is.
Rocking and rolling.
Rockin' and rollin'.
We've been rocking and rolling for a while now.
But before we start rocking and rolling, we have a goal of 1 million subscribers.
Billion.
And to get you cunts out there to fucking hit that goddamn button, I enlist friends of the podcast. And this week, he is my friend and yours, director of Hollows Grove, Mr. Craig Efros.
Oh.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Craig Efros. Please check out and subscribe to my friend Necro Electric's podcast, and check out my movie Hollows Grove. Thanks a lot.
I don't know how you say the C word and make it sound so like natural.
Because
If I try to say it, I feel like I'm like.
I always say it with a British accent.
Should I?
You just say cunt.
I always say it with a British accent. I'm always like, cunt.
That is kind of a more like European word, right?
Yeah. Like, they don't have the stigma over there that it is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here, it's like the worst of the worst, apparently. I've heard from quite a few girls, like, if you call me a cunt, that's the worst thing you could ever call me.
Just so weird.
Like, trust me, I could say a few things that would top that. Exactly. Give me a chance.
I had a girl try to slap me once because I called her a broad.
Really?
Oh.
A bra?
I've never been slapped, but I've come close because I'll say that. And it's just a term, man. Get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, hey, do you want to get a drink, broad? And she's like, what did you say to me? And like came at me
But
like
that's
she's
kind
going to
of
fucking
a-
do something.
That's kind of a weird thing to say when you're asking somebody to have a drink. I feel like if you're like talking about another girl, like, oh, that broad over there, like that's a little more in context. But if you're like, hey, broad, you want to get a drink?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a little
no
more.
from me.
I think it's all depends. So what if Chino Marino or whatever fucking was like, hey,
that's
broad, you want to get a
Chino.
drink?
He can call me whatever
See?
he wants to.
It's about who says
There's
it,
always
right?
a tier system. It's who it is can get away with different things.
Exactly.
I usually
Right.
just say, yo, ho, you want to go? No.
You rap at her?
Look out for you.
With that fire?
Get out.
I've never said that.
I would never.
I feel like I'm forgetting something, but we're good, right?
Friends of the podcast?
I think
I just
so.
did Craig.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, Craig.
We're all having brain farts today. I cannot
Ooh, hey,
concentrate
I
on
know
anything.
that you usually do the shout outs at the end, but I got freaking awesome news today.
Premature shout out.
Yes, premature shout out. My buddy
It's all
Death
about
Rock
premature.
Steve, he plays bass for Saturday Night Shockers. He finished his last round of chemo last night, and so
Yay!
he's doing good. And he's still got, a few more things to do and everything, but he's like, yo, I'm ready to start playing again, get back to normal life.
That's awesome.
That's
we love hearing
awesome.
stuff like that.
Fuck cancer.
Fuck
Yeah.
cancer.
Absolutely.
You cunt. Cancer's a cunt.
There you go. She did
Let's see
it.
if it's
It was only slightly off.
Cancer!
At least it seemed kind of intentional.
So you guys, if you don't know who these guys are, they used to play in a band called The Faction.
Yeah.
That kicked ass all over Waco for many years. And then these guys joined the army and went off and did their thing. Then they came back and then they've reformed to After the Fact, which is pretty fucking cool, right? So how did you guys, like for me, I went over to a buddy of mine. His name was Sean as well. And he had a band called 1026. And it was the first time I'd ever seen like peers like playing music and hearing the volume of the fucking amps for the first time. That shit like fucking it awoke it, you know what I mean? What was it for you guys?
My very first local show was in like '96 at there's this little place behind Paparolo's called the Outback, and they used to do punk shows there. And I was 15, so I definitely like none of the bands were my peers per se, but a lot of them ended up being mentors to me. 2 years later, I got in my first band. It was like your typical 90s pop punk, happy-go-lucky songs about girls, type of thing.
That's her jam right there.
I don't remember which punk show was my first one to go to. I don't remember who was playing, but I think it was them and a band around at the time called Scattered Souls. They played at Brandon Baptist Church, actually, like right across the street over here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the majority of the shows back then were in churches.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
They were the only people that would have us.
Yep, pretty much. Like none of the venues would touch punk rock, but the churches were really cool about it, and
because it brings in the kids. It brings in the kids.
Well, and I mean, I was 17 when I started in Cork 74, and so like we were in that age group, and it was also like the late 90s was still when, like as far as the churches, a lot of them were concerned, punk rock is the devil. Yeah. And so you would have, there would be like a split. You would have churches that were really cool and they would let us come play shows or invite us to come to their youth group and then like play 2 or 3 songs and stuff like that. And then you would have churches that would actually call your band out by name and be like, "You're the devil." Like we literally sing about like high school stuff,
Yeah, in the hardcore scene, there's a ton of Christian hardcore bands, which I always thought was the weirdest thing.
Well, in the late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of the hardcore bands, or a lot of the start of hardcore, a good percentage of it was all Christian bands.
Yeah.
Well, Isn't Under Oath a Christian band?
Well,
I think they are now.
Like As I Lay Dying was in there.
Under Oath.
I just remember listening to Skillet in high school and being like, "Oh, this is the shit."
They weren't, and now they are. I think because I know their singer is a Christian now. I think they were mainstream and then they got saved. I think because
like
I remember
Korn.
some of their stuff being really.
Yeah, there's a whole. I mean,
I remember a lot of my friends were like faking it to make it because you could go and play different shows and they would allow the churches, like you said, would have little venues like the Retro in Sacramento. Shout out. And they would actually like pay for your dinner and like make sure you got like gas in your fucking car
that's
and
awesome.
shit. But you'd have to pray and do all kinds of other shit during the show.
You ever hear the old Christian punk band 90 Pound Wuss?
No.
They were one of the poppiest of pop punk bands, and because the Christian music scene is actually back then was really bad for bands because they would get all these popular bands in to get all the kids in, and they would drain them dry, treat them like crip, and leave them broke. And the singer from that band went and started a band. Was it Barrel of Dead Monkeys?
Raft of Dead Monkeys. And it was
just
weird.
It was weird. And it was
but it was to expose the Christian music industry.
And because he was going against it, it was like, okay, I get you're mad, dude, but you need to find a better approach to kind of exposing this.
Yeah, he really kind of tore it apart.
I only played one show. It was at that place, the Retro.
Yeah.
And it was with a band called Last Night in Town and Eyes of the Mistress, and we played there, and it was the weirdest thing because they gave us money. They gave us like $500 to play the show, right? And then they had us all huddle, and I was kind of like, because I'm like an atheist, and I don't have strong feelings for anything, but I'm like, I'll go with it, And then like they're doing this prayer, and then the guy was like, okay, so when you go out, there's no cursing, and in between songs, don't say anything. Anti-religion, don't say anything, whatever.
You didn't listen to him, did you?
Of course I did not. Well, I can't. My songs, like, we had a song, it starts off, "Fuck you, you fuck."
And Sean gets banned from another venue.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they didn't have us back, but it was still a cool show, though. They allowed moshing. They had, like, hella security guards and shit, or security guards, volunteers.
Yeah, it started off, like, with the churches. And they were always cool with the mosh pits. We started kind of branching out from the churches. There used to be this place here called Doc and Lottie's, and it was like an arcade, laser tag, putt. They had a indoor skating rink, and we threw a show in that skating rink, like built the stage, got our own sponsors. We were 18 years
Wow.
old, you know, like just trying to play a show, and almost 1,100 people showed up. It was freaking
awesome.
nuts.
Damn.
It was a good
But
show.
that really kind of like brought about the new wave of punk in Waco.
I don't know if you guys were around, and I can't remember for the life of me. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember going to several shows. There was a like a piercing and tattoo shop on Franklin, and they had
Art
a stage. Yeah.
That was the generation right after us, because around the time, like, our punk scene kind of, because there was a whole bunch of infighting and a bunch of stuff to do with a few different groups, but we had kind of all, like, he and I had left around that time. We all kind of started to go our own way. That was the, like, proper hardcore, the more metal hardcore scene was the Art Ambush scene.
Yeah.
Their little venue back
I wanted to be a part of it so bad. I would go to those shows, and I tried so hard to not, I mean, groupie has such a negative tone now.
I was gonna say, were you the little groupie in the front?
I tried so hard.
You were scene kid, you know.
I was.
You're part of the masses. It's okay, because you know,
It's
band
fine.
members in the end, we're just scene kids who won't shut up.
Exactly. Like, yeah. We're just the louder scene kids.
Yeah.
How'd you guys get your first instruments? Always found this interesting.
Oh man. So in 7th grade, I took guitar as an elective, like just randomly.
Like at school?
Yeah.
What the
That's
fuck?
a cool
Yeah,
elective.
it was the first year that they were offering it, and so they were just trying to get people to fill the class. And I didn't know anything about music, but my dad was a bass player. My mom can play piano. Like, there's a lot of music in my family, and
Shout out to mom and dad.
right. So I ended up taking this class, and it was like, you know, it's in school, like these crappy acoustic guitars with the nylon strings.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
yeah, the knockoff classical guitars that
Yeah.
sound horrible no matter what.
But, you know, it got me interested in music, so I was like, yo, I want a guitar for Christmas. And my mom bought me this, like, really crappy off-brand electric guitar. And then I started to learn how to play, and then I kind of got arrested and grounded.
Kinda got arrested.
I ended up in juvie.
Oh shit.
And,
There's
do
no
it.
guitar in juvie, I'm guessing.
So when I
Skin
only
guitar.
spent one night in juvie, but I was grounded from everything
For life.
forever.
He's still grounded.
Absolutely,
Gotcha.
still grounded. I'm 38 years old. I'm still grounded. But I was like really kind of, you know, like, man, I want to play guitar, and I was living with my dad and my stepmom at the time. My stepmom was a holy terror, and I was like, finally, I told my mom, I was like, hey, can I just get a guitar to keep at your house? And then my stepmom like blows up. But the guitar that my mom got me to keep at her house is a Fender Stratocaster that I ended up giving to my buddy Clint, and that was a guitar that he played in our first band, and he still has it now.
Aw,
Shout out to Clint.
that's cool.
That's awesome.
What about you, John?
My first doesn't have that much of a story. Well, first one I got for Christmas, it was some just unbelievable knockoff you get at a pawn shop that just won't hold tune or anything like that. And I didn't take much to it, and I ended up selling it to a friend for $20 or something like that. Then a year or two later, I decided I wanted to play, because my dad's played guitar my whole life. He used to be a music minister, so he'd do that. And I went and I bought an Ibanez GX20B, just a basic Ibanez electric guitar.
Yeah.
And that's actually the secondary tracks on the album we just recorded that was with that Ibanez. And that Ibanez has a long life and a long story.
Yes, it does. It's got battle scars.
It's got a chunk out of the headstock and a big chunk out of the body down near the bottom, because when we were still playing, I didn't have a case for it. I was some dumb, 17, 18-year-old kid. Yeah. I didn't have a case for my guitar. It just rolled around in the back.
Oh no!
I was too cool back then, right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I was driving my mom's Saturn station wagon, and it was in the back of the car. And
Saturn made a station wagon?
Oh,
Yeah. We cruised in that thing all the time.
Who knew?
I was actually driving some of the neighborhoods back over here, and they'd added a new subdivision on it. I was driving through the back roads, and they had one of the big water runs for the drain off, and I didn't realize it was so fucking deep.
Oh.
And I'm going about 35 and it's just, regular speed in the neighborhood. But I didn't realize because it was raining real hard. And I slammed down in there and the glass comes flying in the fucking car.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, shit, what was that? And I just pull over and stop. I'm like, fuck, my guitar. And in my I look in the back, it's not there. And in my head, I'm picturing just a shatter of pieces.
Yeah.
And I get out there and the guitar's whole. It's missing a chunk out of the head and a chunk out of the body, and the guitar had been shorting out a lot.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Worked perfect from that on.
Yeah.
Never had a problem since.
And we played that night.
Yeah, we did.
Damn.
He showed up. He shows up to the venue and he's telling us what happened, and we're looking at the guitar and we're like, man, I really hope that it works. We go on in a little bit. Sure enough.
Sometimes when things are broken, that's the only way to fix them. You just
got to show them the
spot.
spots.
Tap,
That's why whenever we were getting ready to record the album, I was like, dude, I know you play the Fernandez now, but we need to, for the secondary guitar track, I want that Ibanez on there, man.
And I went all out. The secondary guitar track, I used the same pedal that I used back in the day. Nice. Because I used to use a Boss Metal Zone 2, which is, if you listen to it now, it's a shitty distortion pedal. So the secondary track is all the Ibanez on a basic amplifier with that shitty pedal. Just
with the Boss.
just to round out the sound. It sounds like the Ibanez sounded.
You guys are saying all of these instrument names, and to me, I feel like you're just you're spouting mathematical equations. I'm like, I don't know.
There were two pedals back in the day that everybody used. You had the Boss or you had the DOD.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Okay,
little stomp,
we could sit here and explain
little
this all
stomp
day long,
boxes.
but-
You click them and the music gets real heavy.
Yeah,
Which is sad because I've been around. I mean, my whole family plays music, and I've been playing piano and musician and
bluegrass though. They're not.
But
fucking
they
with
play.
The Boss.
They have
That's
nice
still music.
guitars.
Bluegrass isn't music.
Brother Wow
jerk.
Pal with fucking some
I've
fucking.
been
They
playing
still
for 22 years, and I guarantee I only know just the skosh of the actual brand names out there.
But it's still they have very nice guitars, and they keep them tuned, and there's a lot of love that goes into bluegrass.
Yes.
So
I would imagine they play mainly Fenders and Gibsons and things like that.
Banjos.
Because they fall in line with that style of music.
But then I have people in my family that can play the mandolin, who can play the violin, who can play the banjo.
I'm gonna throw you a GoPro at the next family fucking get together. We gotta see this.
Y'all make fun, but I can't do that shit. I've been playing piano since I was 7, and I can't do that shit.
There's actually this really, really awesome banjo hillbilly band in Belton called the Stillhouse Howlers.
Really?
And, it's this dude Matthew from a hardcore punk band named Schfucks. Yeah.
They've been around since back when we first were together in the late 90s or the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And they just won't die. They're one of the worst hardcore punk bands you'll ever hear, but they're just
That's
they're
great.
We're all about it.
Won't
love
quit,
Shout out.
but they're amazing at the same time.
Yeah. It's just your basic super high energy, super fast.
Just raw, nasty.
Every time I see them, I'm just I'm vibrating.
Because I don't think the style, the genre of music negates how good of a musician you are. Even if you don't enjoy the music, you can appreciate the fact that they're still good
I'm
musicians.
not downplaying them all. They're just raw and nasty. They're not anything fancy about it. They're just straightforward, nasty, hardcore punk, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, for me, I grew up isolated, my mom just left me home while she worked. Yeah. So I spent all my time just watching MTV, shout out, and fucking all that kind of shit. And then when I was 12 or so, one day I was just why am I sitting here? Because my mom wouldn't be home till 9. I'm I'm gonna go fucking do something. And then I just walked around, and then somebody had left a skateboard on their front lawn. It's mine.
You took it.
Finders keepers.
I was I'm gonna learn this thing, and then I started skating, and then I went to my buddy's house, saw his fucking band play, and then I was like, all right, I gotta fucking make this happen. And I used to hang out with two hippie chicks, Christina and Kelly, shout out. And Christina's mom's boyfriend had a guitar, and I was like, dude, I need a guitar. Can I steal that? And she was like, don't let them see you. All right. And I took it and I went out her window. And
my
now
God.
I have a skateboard and a guitar, which means I'm a rock star.
What a little mischievous cretin, man.
It was a nice one too, because at the time I didn't know, but it was a Jackson Flying V. And then I ended up playing in a band with Jackson Flying V is a V-shaped like guitar, and it's actually a pretty expensive one. It has really good action, so the strings are closer.
Just to save on time, I'm just gonna nod my head when you say something, and I'll be like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's one of those essential like metal guitars.
Yeah.
It's big, it's flashy, and it's got that perfect heavy sound.
Okay.
And then it made it like about a year, and we played a backyard show, me and Adam, the duffel bag porn guy, and there was a pole in the backyard holding up the awning, and everybody was slamming around, and I swung, and then it was like blah 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 blah, and then I looked, and it was just fucking headstock was just gone.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So rest in peace, or in memory of.
R.I.P.
Do we have time for a sponsor?
Yes.
Our clock died.
Oh no. This episode is brought to you by Dark and Dreary Clothing. Dark and Dreary is an edgy fashion and lifestyle brand that embraces great design and unsurpassed quality. Dark and Dreary has quickly gained a following amongst fans of the occult, horror, punk rock, heavy metal, and all-around free thinkers and retailers worldwide without shoving a preachy, trendy, or political message down your throat. So buy the best, fuck the rest. DarkandDrearyClothing.com.
Dark and Dreary Clothing, sponsored by the weather outside.
Oh yeah.
We have an announcement for where you can find Dark and Dreary Clothing.
Oh shit. This is why our thing is dead, because I didn't have time to prep today. Because we are officially moving the studio and our whole thing to a new building.
Everything.
And we're opening a retail store in the front.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Skellington Curiosities.
Yes!
I've seen the advertisements for it. I wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah. So
We're going to have like the
Excited about
clothing,
this.
the lingerie. We're going to have fucking diamond skulls, whatever the fuck you want. Like,
I'm going to
come
show
on,
up naked, and then you have to make me not naked.
no problem.
And when you're down there, that's also going to be where our new podcast studio is. So
Yes.
so come and check it out. We'll announce when grand opening is going to be.
Yep.
Hooray.
Follow our Instagram at Skellington Curiosities.
Boom.
Done.
All right. So tell
My
me.
first instrument was a clarinet, if you wanted to know.
Oh,
No one
mine
asked.
too.
Clarinet.
Is it just because I'm a girl? No one's like, you don't play an instrument?
No. Oh,
Did you steal your first clarinet?
No, I
it on
only
somebody's front lawn?
played because it was middle school, and they were like redoing the gym where we would have practiced. So we had to walk to the elementary school after school for band practice. And there was a cute boy, of course.
Of course.
So we got to walk alone. And that's the only reason I did.
Walk alone.
see, I was a clarinet player too, but I was really good at it. I was into it.
Clarinet
Were
sisters.
you?
I was.
All right.
I went to like competitions and stuff like that.
A
So
clarinet
I wasn't any
competition?
good.
it wasn't just for clarinets. It was like a band.
like a battle off, like in Crossroads.
Yeah, right.
With the devil.
Man, I fucking wish. That would have
Like,
made
too,
my
is, like,
life.
did y'all dress up like satyrs and do like themes, or did y'all just like do it in nerd clothing? Like, how did this go?
John, you've really made this so lame for me.
The alcohol in it, light it on fire.
Yeah.
That would
He
be
started
so
it.
cool.
I just went with it.
Up until this moment, I was proud to be a clarinet player. And now I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed.
Trust me, there's no glorious start to our the original band. The glorious start is like him and the singer walked up to me and the singer's brother, who's my best friend. We're walking through HEB and they're like, "Hey man, you want to be in a band?"
Oh, shit.
That was literally like me and the drummer from Cork 74. We were like, I was 19, and like you get that I'm out on my own, and like
Conquer the world.
I don't want to sing about girls and stupid things because I hate the world. And so we're like, dude, we're gonna start a band, and it's gonna be like serious and whatnot. And we knew that John was into heavier stuff. And
As far as
everything.
like most of the people in the scene, I was always into the heavier, like more of the skater punk and the heavy punk and hardcore punk, because I just
So
sounded
then-
better to me.
Motorhead and shit.
So the faction was born in HEB.
That's funny.
The HEB that no longer exists, because HEB over here in Hewitt, the parking lot was the HEB.
Yeah.
It was eventually torn down,
Factoid.
and bigger HEB was put in.
Man.
Really?
Many
Weird.
2 a.m. trips to get chocolate milk.
Don't you miss those fucking days though?
Dude,
Like,
I miss
Yeah.
grocery stores being
being in
24
your
hours.
being in your 30s and then going and finding new band members is so fucking nauseating.
Yeah,
because
we're there
everybody
again.
has like
We're looking for a new
prerequisites. Like, so what bands do you listen to? And then you're like, oh, I like fucking Slayer and this and that. Oh no, well I'm into like this like unknown band you've never heard of.
Yeah.
and unless you're into them,
And then
Yeah.
you go home and you look them up and you're like, man, these dudes are fucking lame. This guy.
yeah. But back in the day, like when you're 18, like you don't give a fuck. You're like, yeah, let's jam right fucking now.
exactly. Now I'm like, I don't know. With this band, I think we are a little more meticulous. I mean, we're looking for a drummer again.
So hit them up on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yep.
What's your Instagram handle?
For sure.
Just after the fact.
Yeah, you can get it.
After the fact, ATF.
Yep. Or Chris Faction or JW Faction. You know, either one
Which
of
I
them.
will
Any of the
probably
factions.
be changing that before too long.
I've always wanted to be in a band. I
Let's
say my
start a band.
I see. I've always said
We
my
can
first.
start double clarinet band.
I say my first instrument was a clarinet, but I would say that my very first instrument was my voice because I've been singing since I was very little.
You have
so
a good voice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I don't really like feel like I'd be able to sing in a hardcore band because I mean I could do maybe the melodic stuff, but when it comes to the singing, I'd be like,
Yeah.
You mean screaming?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little bit. I can't do
But
that
that's
part.
just it, is
So
you don't have to do the screaming.
Yeah.
Because you start a band and do it how you want to do it. Don't
Yeah.
model it after anybody else.
You can just
Do all
talk if
singing.
you want to, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I'll sing. You play clarinet. We'll take this show on the
Yes.
road, baby. Let's go.
Done.
Fire clarinets and everything.
I'm also a booking agent. If you guys,
Sweet. Sweet.
I'm all about that.
So you guys, any crazy stories about your travels from being in the faction to after the fact?
He's going to be the one that remembers all the stories. I've hit my head on the ground way too much.
yeah, it's true. It's true. Like,
I wasn't always this pretty. But
man,
hit the ground at 40 and it helped.
one of the only ones I could like really think about that it will always stick out in my head was my 21st birthday. Like, I was gonna go get to see one of my favorite bands, a band called Officer Negative, and I was super stoked. And I had to work that day, but I was like, man, when I get off work, like, I'm gonna get to go see one of my favorite bands on my 21st birthday. This is gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah.
John comes strolling in.
He was working over at McAllister's Deli, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right over here. One of the guys, the guy who put the show together, Frankie, had called me that day, and I can't remember what band it was, dropped out. He called me, he's like, dude, can you guys play tonight? And I was like, let me talk to everybody. So I called our drummer, and he was like, yeah, sure. And I called the singer, and he's like, yeah, sure. And this was before cell phones.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think if you had a cell phone, it was the Nokia brick. And, you know, if you wanted to text somebody, that was going to be $5. If you wanted to call somebody, that was going to be $50. Like, all right, well, I guess I'll just go up there. And I walked in, I was like, hey, we're playing tonight. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, so I go to my boss, you know, and I'm like, it's my 21st birthday, man. Like, can I get off a little bit early and whatnot? And he lets me off early enough that I got to go home, change, and make it like 10 minutes before we were supposed to go on stage.
Nice.
Wow.
So I didn't even drink on my 21st birthday.
Oh, shit.
Because I was in such a rush. And then, you know, like, of course, had a blast at the show. So I
Yeah.
drank the next night.
I'm sure it wasn't your first time drinking, I'm sure.
And no.
And shout out to McAllister's bomb-ass turkey and bacon sandwiches.
Yes, very
They
good.
have very good sandwiches.
And that ended up being like one hell of a show. There was a band, I think they were out of Louisiana or Alabama, one or the other. They were out west a little ways. They were called the Remnants. And those dudes were fucking amazing. They've been staying at a buddy's house over down on Baylor for a few days. And it was funny because there were two brothers, and one of them had a 4-foot green mohawk, I think.
Oh, man. That thing
And the
was
other one,
huge.
and the other one had a 4-foot
like,
blue mohawk.
It was
but you could tell they were
humongous.
obviously
It was
different colors,
crazy.
but they
I
were
don't know
both about 4
feet,
feet tall.
But it was big.
And they kept them fixed all the time. They put them up with whatever would hold them
Mark
for
said
weeks.
they ruined his couch. He
Just-
was like, dude,
But it
their
was-
hair
it was
products
hairspray.
just
It
destroyed
was
my
funny because
couch.
some of the people over there, I knew a few people over there, and I was talking to a few of my friends that lived down from that weren't a part of the punk scene a couple of days later, and I was talking about the punk show and the Remnants, and they said something, were those the dudes with the, or the dude with the mohawk? I was like, dudes. They're like, what? I was like, no, it was two of them. They're two brothers. And they're like, that makes so much more sense. Because I would see a dude with the green, and then I'd see a dude with the blue. I thought it was the same guy, and I thought he just kept changing his hair color.
Like 3 times a day.
It's amazing.
The first time I ever gave myself a mohawk, when I was probably mid-high school, I was staying at my grandparents' house, and they had like a really nice shower, and they were like, super, don't ever fucking dye your hair, don't ever do anything, or we'll shave your head.
Of course he dyed his hair.
So I went in there, I bleached it first, and then and I just did it way too much, and then I did that shit blue, and then I shaved my fucking head, and then my grandpa was like, get the fuck out, you've been in there too long, right? And I was like, shit, but I hadn't got it all like out, and I was running late for school.
Oh crap.
And I was like, oh fuck it, and I threw my beanie on, and then I started skating to school.
Oh man.
And then I think I had a white shirt on, and it was soaking, like there was like blue lines and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man. And then I, put my hoodie on in class. And then my buddy was like, oh, dude, you're like leaking, bro. And then I touched my hair, and it was all over my hands. And then I was like putting my hands on my desk and like doodling and smearing and shit.
Wow.
I feel like that's me at the gym. If I get a good sweat going, there's like little red beads coming down my forehead.
Look like you're bleeding.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times.
Man.
What about your guys' first concert experiences?
I won't tell you my very first one because it's kind of embarrassing, but
Mine
Even
was
more reason to tell it.
Yeah, mine was the
Disney
Eagles.
on Ice?
okay, but the Eagles is cool. My
No,
first
the Eagles are not cool, dude. It was an acoustic show with like, I'd never because I grew up on hair metal. You know what I mean? That's what my mom listened to. She was like, and she would listen to Metallica and stuff, but it was mostly hair metal bands.
Hair metal needs to come back.
And she's like, I'm
Same.
taking you to your first concert. I'm like, yeah.
It tried with the darkness, and thankfully it didn't catch on.
And I was probably like 12 or 10 or something. And it was the Eagles Hell Froze Over tour.
I remember that tour.
And then like it was just all acoustic, and like I show up and it's a sit down thing. I'm like, man, we're fucking sitting down.
Yeah.
And then like 800 guitar players come out because I never followed the Eagles, and I'm like, what is going on, right?
Yeah, because the Eagles have like 2 or 3 main guitar players, but they have a million people
like
who have played with them.
backup
If you ever hear Taylor Branch and the Lone Star Ramblers, his father, Jerry Branch, was he played along with the Allman Brothers and guys like that, so he knows a lot of those guys. I mean, like they just had this hundreds of people across the nation that all just come out and play with them.
Yeah, yeah. In this particular show, it was a million of them, and I had no idea. And they played like I had heard Hotel California before, and they played like a 25 fucking minute version of the song with like every guy getting his turn to fucking go off.
And you get a solo, and you get a solo.
So that was lame. So
no, my very first concert was we went to go see Diamond Rio.
What the fuck is that?
It's a country band, and
they were like pop country.
They were good. They were very talented musicians. But I will say, I mean, obviously at the time I hadn't heard any other kind of music, so that was exciting for me. But my very first year that I got to go to Warped Tour was a very existential experience because I got to see so many bands at like the same time, and I got to experience like other people who were into that kind of music, and I saw Avenged Sevenfold for the first time there. I saw Killswitch Engage there. I saw My Chemical Romance there. Like so many cool bands. Now, like Warped Tour is lame now, but back in the day,
it's dead now.
Yeah, they it was just such a cool time.
In memory of.
Yeah, in memory of Warped Tour.
R.I.P. Warped Tour. I feel like if you're on this mic, you have to say R.I.P. If you're over there, you have to say M.
Shout out to Terry in Ontario.
He killed me with that fucking abortion clinic joke again. I listened to it and I was like, oh shit. Oh man.
That was great.
What about you?
First concert I went to was put on by a local radio station, San Francisco. It was Live 105.3, which sadly is no longer, in memory of. But they put on this show with a bunch of different bands, and I just remember I went through some crazy heartbreak that show because I really wanted to get Jacoby's autograph from Papa Roach. I needed this autograph.
I still got beef with that band.
Like the Christmas shows that they throw? Or what was
it was just a big festival.
Okay.
The BFD 7.
Oh, BFD.
Big fucking deal 7. And
shout out.
Yeah, so I'm in line. I'm waiting forever. And then I get to the front of the line, and the fucking security guard is like, okay, stop there. I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, you're gonna have to wait for the next band. I was like, no, but no, Dakota, and I start crying, and he still wouldn't let me in. I was like maybe 13.
That's
At the
so
time, heartbreaking.
Such an asshole. Broke my heart. And then I got Tech Nine's autograph, so cool.
You got Tech Nine?
That's the job of a bouncer. If you're a bouncer, you have to be completely soulless.
Why Papa Roach and Tech Nine were at the same festival?
I would take Tech Nine's autograph.
I mean, you've got like the bouncer stance. I mean, do you have experience being a soulless asshole?
I've been a bouncer.
He is a soulless asshole.
I bounced at True Love for a little bit this year just because there was some kind of TABC sting. And they had to fire their bouncer, and Eric, the owner, was like, "Ooh, could you cover for a while?"
Oh,
undercover bouncer.
Back, I was like, "I'm going."
Shout out to all those Baylor kids.
Yeah, right? I was about to say, what kind of trouble are people getting into at True Love that they need a fucking bouncer?
Slap fights.
You really just there to card them as they come in. So
John just walks up and grabs them by the fucking collars.
Man.
If you
like
do go to True Love, you might notice a
Paddles
Necro
them.
Electric sticker or two somewhere.
Yep.
We're plastering these fuckers
find
all
it.
over town.
I know.
We just got a crate of these fuckers. So
Yeah.
expect to see them.
I'm gonna
I keep-
pull a scuba
keep
belly and start
finding
putting
them
them
at
on
work.
stuff.
Yeah. I wonder why. Shout out to Mike.
Right? He unloads his pockets. I think it was yesterday, and he's like, "Dude, we can put these everywhere."
My drummer Mike has 5 cats.
Yes, he does.
Shout out to all of them.
Yeah. To all of
Cats.
them. He has a lot of cats. He's poor guy right now is at a Chamber of Commerce banquet. And it's like a Thai event.
If you don't know, these rockers, him and Mike, are florists.
We drive trucks. We work for a florist.
I'm sorry.
I don't know anything about
I was so excited for a
floristing.
second. I was like, oh my God, you're a florist? You can make my bouquet for my
No.
wedding.
I work on the wholesale side. I deliver flowers to flower shops.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know anything
He's
about
done it longer, but I used to
arranging.
work for a plant company that we did special events, but we also owned a floral shop, and one time while we were slow, I've actually gone and had to put floral arrangements together. They were
Really?
like, "Here's some stuff, make something up." I was like,
Yeah,
all right, let's see
Okay.
what happens here."
That's punk rock.
Absolutely.
Rock.
Dude, and chicks dig the flowers. I mean, I'm single, so maybe
Not working
not.
very well.
Hey, ladies.
So slip into those DMs, ladies.
I think, maybe it's... sure, why not?
He's open
Eventually,
to
you get
it.
so good at being single, it's just like, I'm good. This out. Just
I think, me and Ontario Linville are actually the most eligible bachelors in Waco.
There you go.
I don't know.
heard it here first.
Dustin Weens is single too, so
He is, and we were, oh man, where were we? We were at the Undercroft one night, and Dustin leaves, and I get a message from him. I'm like, why is Dustin? He was just here. And he's like, hey, yo, who's that girl that was sitting across from you? And there was like 3 or 4 girls sitting across from me. So I was like, which one are you talking about, or whatever?
said any of
and
them.
He's like describing them. I was like, I was like, dude, you should have talked to her.
what are you in
man.
high school, man?
Funny.
Just talk to
Where's your
her.
game at, Dustin?
We should do a spoof on The Bachelorette.
Ooh, I like that. We'll
American
talk
Idol.
later.
We'll
Talk later.
no.
We got time for another ad.
Thought we got
Yeah.
away from the dating night.
This episode is also brought to you by Mod Ministry. Mod Ministry merch creates for the edgy woman, the kind of woman who works hard but plays much harder, who embraces femininity but tests the societal limits. We are not for the faint of heart. We are bold. We are beautiful. Check out the Mod Ministry Etsy page for handmade harness lingerie. 5-star rated seller since 2014.
Strap it
on. I'm sorry. I won't do it anymore. I just had to do it that one time.
Also, go to necroelectric.com. Rep our shit.
Rep it.
Rep it. Rep it.
It's so weird not having the clock. I'm like, what time is it?
Yeah.
We're flying blind tonight.
I know. I know.
Actually,
Never know where it will
it's
go.
been 36 minutes.
Has
It
it?
goes by super
36.
fast.
It
So
went
we're getting-
super fast.
We're already at life in the comments, and
Are we? Oh, okay. So the first one is from YouTube, a photo booth startup. Best thing on YouTube. You can't ever tell if they're being sarcastic or not, so I'm going to say that you were not, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the comment anyway.
Yep.
not if you ask my son. The best thing on the internet is cat fails.
videos.
He likes,
Oh.
he likes watching cat fail videos.
Insert clip of Sean and Bane watching cat videos here. Because it's so cute.
When I left the house, my son was watching Minecraft videos.
My son does that too. That in Roblox. It's so weird.
That is something that just baffles me with kids a lot. Is they all want to watch videos of other people playing games.
Yeah.
And some of them, my son will do it. I'm like, you have that game.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Just go
But
play the game.
I had that same, my brain's shutting down. I agreed with that statement.
Okay.
And my buddy Adam, the duffel bag porn guy, he's like a big fucking gamer. And then when he's not gaming, that's what he's doing. And I used to bitch at him all the time, like, dude, why are you fucking watching somebody else play video games, dude? And then he broke it down like this, because I'm like, you're not playing it. Why are you watching it? And he's like, people watch football and they're not fucking playing it.
I mean, it's true.
I guess.
You could go out and get the football and play.
Yeah,
That's true.
You were talking about the cats thing. It made me think of the meme someone sent me the other day. It says, lasers were once a huge scientific breakthrough. Now we use them to play with cats.
Yes.
Computers were once a huge scientific breakthrough. Now we use them to look at cats. Conclusion, science was made for cats.
Yes.
shout out to cats.
Shout out to Mike's 5 cats, apparently.
And they don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit about nothing.
You know Mike's cats?
Congratulations. Huh?
You know Mike's cats?
No. Oh, no.
I was like,
I mean, I've got 5 cats too.
What are you
but they all
doing
live on
hanging
the
out
porch.
with Mike's cat?
Does
Mike know about this?
I just have
Either do you just like sneak over there when they're at work to hang out with the cats?
Damn, I've been exposed. Shit. What do I do now?
what's their next one?
Up next is from Facebook, from Sal Velasco.
What
Look
up,
at all
Sal?
this smoke. Look at all the smoke is what he said.
All right.
What does
so
that mean?
Look at all the smoke is from Terry in Ontario starting their comedian beef,
Yeah.
which is, if you follow it on Facebook, has
Blown up.
blown up
Escalated.
and spread to Dallas, and now the comedian X has been posting shit about Prescription and Terry, and then they're firing back and forth. It's fucking hilarious.
It's
So,
going to make for some really awesome shows.
Yeah.
It is.
We need to have a battle
yeah,
here.
I know.
I
Now we'll have to
agree.
invite X to
Yes.
come out here.
I guess that
and
means I should crawl out of my hole and look into it.
Probably.
fucking- nice.
Oh, man. Speaking of something totally not what you were talking about,
And now for something completely
Oscar
different.
needs to come over and talk more Star Wars.
Oh my
shit.
God. Okay.
We
You too.
Shout out to Oscar.
You too. He told me, he was like, oh, I'm going to go get that dice bag. John made me a dice bag. And I was like, oh, cool. That was very nice of him.
The fuck's a dice bag?
I didn't hear
The
a
little
bag that
leather-
you hold D&D
Yeah.
dice.
Oh.
We'll explain that a little bit later.
Katie asked me if I'd make something like that for her brother, and I just happened to bring the subject up with him, so I made one for him too. It was just a little
Yeah,
round.
John
leather
does
pouch.
leather work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you need leather work done,
That's
Yeah.
why I made the mention that the JW faction will probably change because I'm branding the leather work stuff as Bridge Troll.
Bridge
I'm
Troll?
going to change it to
Oh, cool.
change it to Bridge Trolls. So.
Keep your eyes out for that.
But he went to go get that dice bag, and I didn't hear from him for a while. And I was like, is he okay? Like, what's happening? He called me, and he was like, yeah, so I got caught up, and I was like, with the dice bag? And he goes, yeah, we started talking about Star Wars. And I was like, shit.
we
He
were
was-
like diving deep.
He was
into
so
the wars.
excited. He was like, I
Doubt
found
it.
my people, Jordan.
Yes.
You don't understand. Like, there's
found my
not people like this
people.
around. And I was like,
Yes.
whatever, man. Like, you
It was
do
great
you.
because like I was sitting there playing the Star Wars Old Republic MMO.
Yeah.
And of course that like boom.
That's
and
what
then
sparked
it.
it.
we're
He
just-
can't. It's like a drug. If he sees it, like he cannot keep himself from like talking about it or buying it or whatever it is. It's just Oh, baby, you need help.
Shout out to George Lucas. I've actually been to Lucas Valley. Lucas Valley
cool.
Ranch.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I did a job there when I was like 25 or something. It's fucking super cool. You go over the little hill and there's a little city, like a little small town. All the street names are named after like Star Wars and Indiana Jones shit.
Oh,
And then
that's
there's a place
fucking
called
cool.
Big Rock, and that's where they like film and do all kinds of stuff. And George's house is not too far from there.
But what about Willow?
Shout out to Willow.
And there's always the fan theory that Indiana Jones was Han Solo's dream while he was in Carbonite.
Yep.
Ooh.
I believe it.
I can go along with that.
Crossover.
I believe it.
I can go along with
I
that.
like Indiana Jones.
Dr. Jones.
Me too.
Same.
Me too.
You want to get into some shout outs?
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Hamilton and Rogue Media Network. I had a show idea for a podcast, just me by myself, and Mike was very like, he's just like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I love that about him. He's just so cool, and like, you bring him an idea and he's like, yeah, sure, how, when, where, let's do it. So and I don't really know when it's going to come out. I know they're having the podcast competition on the 26th.
Which we're judges on.
Yeah.
Judges.
So I know it'll be kind of sometime after that, but yeah. So I'm just really grateful to Mike, and I mean, we've been hanging together for about 2 years now, and every idea that I have, he's like, yeah, let's go. So shout out to Mike.
Nice. We beat the shit out of Mike last night for one of our promos. If you guys haven't seen
That was
it.
great.
I saw the
Perfect.
picture. I haven't seen the video.
So shout out to Oni-chan.
Yeah.
And
Whoever doesn't get the reference is literally gonna think we're just crazy.
it's Reservoir Dogs.
That's from the picture. That's kind of where my brain went.
Yeah.
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 Shout out to Brother Will for having us, and shout out to these guys for showing up and kicking
Yes.
in with us.
Ooh, yeah.
Thank you.
What do you got, love?
Man.
Shout out to
Shout out.
clarinets.
Clarinet.
Shout
All
out
you
to our-
clarinet players, if you want to join our band, please.
Oh, you guys are gonna be the Eagles of clarinets?
Ew,
Yeah.
no, not the
20,
Eagles.
20 fucking clarinet players.
Whatever we can do with them.
How about
the
shout out to your
Falcons.
new retail store?
Well, we already shouted that out, but yeah, Skellington Curiosities. Go find it on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere.
It's gonna be
Go
awesome.
find it. It's gonna be amazing.
Amazing. Booyah.
Done. What's up?
Dude, shout out to the band Stellar Corpses, because about an hour before we started filming, they confirmed to be the headliner on the Nosferatu tour, which is a tour
Ooh.
that I am putting together.
Sweet.
So watch out in June 2020.
Coming up. Where can people find out information about it?
Nowhere yet, because I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
He was
I
waiting-
just got
But
the
if you
headliner
follow Chris's
confirmed
page,
today.
it'll probably pop up at
Had
some
to wait
point.
for them to
Follow my
confirm before
page.
you go too crazy.
Eventually, I will start Instagram and Facebook pages for the Nosferatu tour, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, check out Stellar Corpses. Look them up. They're freaking awesome. They're gonna be the headliner of the tour. It's gonna be great.
Awesome.
Cool.
Sick. What about you, John?
I'd say shout out to Mike and his cats, but Mike, because he's going to sit in and drum for us while we're looking for a drummer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we are still looking for a drummer, even
Anybody
though
out
Mike
there?
is sitting in. Just hit us up.
Boom.
Boom.
And if you're a single lady
Hit them up.
and a drummer, two birds
If you,
with one
oh
stone.
my
Sure.
goodness, I don't know if I could handle that.
I don't think I could date somebody I was in a band with.
I
Hell no.
don't know. He and I are like been friends forever, you know. So like we fight like we're husband and wife,
And we don't
sometimes.
talk for long periods.
Yeah,
Like, I'm just going to go over here.
Don't snuggle.
yeah, right.
It's like, not tonight, I have a headache.
Absolutely.
Well, boom. All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.